Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Slant 3D podcast, the show about 3D printing and our place inside the industry. Today, we're going to be talking about Apple's 3D printed watch and going through the INDX and Prusa's new machine. But before that, let's go ahead and pay the bills. This episode is brought to you by Teleport. If you are running an established Etsy 3D printing store and you're just about to move into Black Friday where you will have more orders than you can deal with, you might want to set up Teleport. Teleport is a great software to either fully replace your existing print farm or serve as overflow when you need extra machinery. Teleport, you just connect straight into your Etsy store, and then whenever you get an order, you can decide to have Slant 3D print it and ship it straight to your customer for you, or you can keep it in-house and print it yourself. Both of those are totally fine. But it's a fantastic resource to help you expand your print capacity because for free, you are able to get access to hundreds of new 3D printers to help you grow your business. Now you can focus on designing products and spending time with your family this holiday, while all of your parts and products are still printed and shipped straight to your customers for you without you having to deal with any of it. So check out Teleport today over at slantpod.com. That's slantpod.com. All right, let's go into the news. Apple is 3D printing their watches. The Apple Watch Ultra 3 and Ultra 2 and the Series 2, the Titanium Series 2, are now made with 100% recycled titanium powder, but they are also 3D printed. So Apple is using selective laser sintering in order to produce the Ultra series of the iWatch, which they won't want us to say, but is what it is. It's the iWatch. Selective laser sintering, big old powder bed, hit it with a laser, do a layer, bring it on down, then you knock them all out, run them through a shake and bake oven, and knocks all the powder loose, and then you have the watch. The watch itself, there's been comments around like, oh, you can make it other ways, and I'm like, I don't think you can. Like, you can, but for the amount of efficiency that you get for the Apple Watch, in order to make it with as little material as possible, 3D printing is the best option. And since it's such a small part, just the frame of the watch, producing it this way is very reliable and very mass producible because you can put 1,000 of them into a build plate and they've all been optimized and designed. It's really cool because since the watch is square, you see it printed up on a diagonal like this so that it's one continuous layers and there's all spacing for it all and there's no deformation or anything else. I can't imagine how much refinement and prototyping they had to do to get that going and reliable, but it's happening. And it's a big deal to have one of the biggest companies in the world making one of their kind of, I'm not going to say flagship products, but a primary product. They're going to sell millions of those things. Make those purely with 3D printing. That's a big breakout and should be more of a success story. But anyway, okay, next piece of news. The INDX, the Prusa Index, and of course the Vortek head from Bambu Lab. These are the two things that kind of came out of Formnext. There's a few pieces of news that came from Formnext, but the big ones are the H2C with the Vortek tool changer and the Index on the Prusa core machine. I like the Index. The Index is a very slick and very elegant looking system. And the Vortek, as implemented, is less interesting than when they teased it, in my personal opinion. The Vortek still has a lot of the faults of like the AMS attached to it, whereas the tool changer of the Index is cleaner. But they simplified the tool changing down by using inductive heating and basically just changing the nozzle in order to make it more efficient and not have a full tool head swap out. So I'm glad that got done. It's good that everyone has transitioned from moving tool heads to just changing tools. That's perfectly reasonable. So the Index looks really great. And I would say is a slicker solution than the Vortek because the Vortek now looks overcomplicated. I appreciate the fact that Bambu only had one nozzle of the H2C be changeable because you've got dual nozzles. One is fixed and the other one is the tool changer. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how people react to it. People will love Bambu and people will love Prusa and they're all fine. The 8 colors that are possible on the Bambu with the Index integration onto it all. I'm sure that's very useful for plenty of prototyping people, and it'll go into a lot of industrial design firms, but now you're starting to get into how many colors does a person actually need on a machine. So everybody will say more, and for a prototyping machine, that's absolutely true. But both of these are meant to be prosumer prototyping tools And yeah, they'll go from there. Okay, let's see here. That's pretty much for the news. Even though we have Formnext this week, there hasn't been a ton of 3D printing news this week. Everybody's girding their loins, going to Formnext, and getting ready for the Christmas season. So there's not too much going on. Okay, moving into general company updates. By the way, for the chat, we're doing this podcast live. Anybody in the chat, if you have questions that you want me to answer, as soon as I finish up with these updates, we will get to you over in chat here. So we'll go ahead and do that. All right, updates for everything. Last week, we talked about the Tangled price cut for non-Tangled members. Covered that again. Tangled, $10 per spool. It's over there, is what it is. Okay, teleport and portals. The big release this last week that we released just a couple days ago are custom templates for your Portals storefront. So if you are inside of Portals, you can go up to Edit Profile, and then you will be able to create your storefront. And you can name it, you can set what your Buy Now button says. You are able to change the color and the tone and the style of the page. This has been a request for a little bit. Portals is only 8 weeks old, but the request has come up for a bit, and now you are able to redesign your Portals page to actually kind of match your brand. So if you're like doing vases, you can do a white, modern kind of a look. If you're doing industrial, you can go for black and white, or you can stay in the Portals style of purple and orange. So you have 4 templates currently to pick from, so that you have different styles that'll match your store. And we'll continue to build that out. But it's a really big deal because it allows you to make Portals kind of your own. It becomes your site in a way that like Etsy doesn't. Etsy, you have an Etsy page and that's all you get, and you can change the banner. But with us, you can actually make a site that matches who you are, which is really useful, especially since Portals has been designed kind of for social media selling, where an influencer might be selling vases or lamps or something, and they want it to match their style and their page. So now Portals is able to do that in a way that other places aren't. And again, Portals has all the benefit of being able to print and ship your items for you. So you get it. It's fantastic. Ever since we released Portals, we realized, we replaced Shopify because you don't have Shopify weekly fee or monthly fees anymore. We replaced the post office because you don't have to buy labels anymore. We gave you a print farm with 1,000 printers in it so that you can make 1 part or 1 million parts and don't have to worry about it. And Portals, the organic traffic on it has started growing too over the last week or so. Probably about 30 to 40% of sellers have gotten their first sale from organic traffic. So it seems to be working quite well. We'll continue building that up. We've been building the organic traffic on Portals here over the last few weeks, and it's coming along quite nicely, but we'll continue to push on that. Updates to Teleport, some tweaks to billing and dashboards inside of there. But if you want to plug Teleport directly into your existing Etsy store, that you do that with Teleport. And third-party parts. We added more third-party parts this week. So with Portals and Teleport, you can include charging pucks, light pucks, screws, magnets, whatever it was with your parts and pieces that are printed. This week we added in some 20-ounce tumblers because people are making like sleeves and handles and stuff, so they want to have a coffee tumbler that they accessorize. We've added a number of different screws. We've added outdoor adhesive tape. We have added in a lot of screws, several magnets. There's a few other ones. Scroll through the third-party parts. They are both in the Teleport prototyper, and we should have an active public list that you can look at to get a hold of those parts. Okay, those are the updates for Teleport and Portals. We're pretty much at this point probably not going to release too many new colors right at the moment because we're going in the Christmas season, and we just got to make sure that everybody who's on it right now is happy with what they have. So yeah. Okay, fair enough. Let's go ahead and go to chat. Like I said, guys, if you have any questions, this is the time to bring up questions. So we will go ahead and take a look at this. What do we got? All right. What's up, everybody? Do we print in TPU 64D? We will do mass production of 64D. So you'd have to go to Slant 3D and submit it for quoting, but it's not available in like Portals. Got some YouTube tips making 3D printed business content. That's check out the Slant Pod channel and don't do what we're doing, because they'll just cannibalize each other. The big thing that we have seen that people need help with and engage with quite a bit are what are objects that sell well. And if you were doing that content, research what items sell well and then show here are the 3D printed equivalent to them. People need ideas and items to sell. And then also people need marketing help. Like the people need to know, how do I make a video to advertise my item? That's a really big gap for people. Those two kind of decisions in creating the business, what do I sell? And then how do I sell it? Oh man, that sounds more bleak when I say it like that. But what do I sell? And then once I have something to sell, how do I actually market it so that it can be sold? Those are the challenges for people. And those are the two only and fundamental challenges of any business. So, but if you can give insight to those two core problems, especially in 3D printing, the what I should sell very often is less important than the how do I sell it. A lot of people have ideas for things and objects or files or can get commercial licenses, but the how to sell it, the marketing of it, is a place you can build a lot of content around, and people need it and will engage with it. Vortek has a lot of moving parts that could cause problems. Yeah, the Vortek has additional moving parts that could solve problems, but not really. Well, yeah, they technically have more than the Index, but the Index has more nozzles wandering around. But yeah, I agree with you that the Vortek is a more complex sort of a system. My buddy wants to send his design to be printed on something like Teleport. I tried to find a playlist of your videos describing how to design for printing by your service, but it couldn't. Or is it? So if he wants to work on Teleport, this channel, Slant 3D, has all of our design videos on it, so you can just run through the channel. If you want Teleport and Portal specific items, then you can go ahead and visit the Slant Pod YouTube channel. Portals is for somebody who doesn't have a store, as in like you just want to start selling in 30 seconds. On Portals, you upload a file and you're selling prints in 30 seconds. Teleport is for plugging into Etsy, Shopify, whatever it happens to be. If you have an existing business and you want to have orders printed for you, that's for Teleport. So Portals is your own whole separate brand new store with nothing. And then Teleport is if you have an existing store that you want to grow. So he would probably want to use Portals. All right. Okay. Christian Bureau made a multicolor items print on Portals for the first time this weekend. The client received today. Fantastic. Good to hear. That should be good. All right, let's see what other kind of questions we got here. Let us know if there's any problems there. Right now, it's kind of been fantastic. We announced that fewer than 1% of orders have any problem with them on all of our services. And actually, for the last 2 weeks, that's dropped even lower. We're probably sub 0.5% right at the moment, based on the info that we have. So if you have an issue, let us know about it. We always trace those down and we kill it so it can never happen again as soon as we find out about any of those things. So, alrighty then. That should do it. All right, guys. Quick and easy beginning here to the beginning of the podcast today. I'll check any last questions that can come through here. But there are... the interview for this week is Zach Hartley. Zach Hartley and us have worked together for a while. Zach runs a print farm up in Canada that does tool accessories. He also has a YouTube channel with a lot of good content around how he's running the print farm. We had a really good conversation with him. This is actually the second conversation that we did for the podcast, but we refilmed a new one because we thought we filmed the first one almost a couple months ago. And we thought, Zach's been working on stuff. We should probably do a current one so that the stuff he's talking about is more recent. But Zach's kind of lived a life. He was on Dragon's Den in Canada for a barrel furniture making company. He has worked in Bitcoin and that kind of stuff. And more recently, he's starting up this 3D printing business that is doing very well. It was a fun conversation. We talked about everything from like how to deal with customers to kind of how to scale it up. Zach has started building print farm management software, which is could be really useful for other print farms who are wanting to scale up and do like auto ejection and inventory management. Zach's expertise is around Amazon. And by the way, nugget from the first interview, Zach said, if you want to find products that are the most popular, what you do is you ideate of a category, and then you go to Amazon and you search that word, and then you look at the suggested listings. And the suggested items in the text box, the search box, the suggested are the most popular items. So if you click on that, the most popular, and then review those things, there's keywords and trending items and other stuff on Amazon. So if you can find a category that people are looking for, but then has kind of bad products inside of it, you can design a product that direction. So it was a nifty hack for selling on Amazon. So enjoy the conversation. It was great to have Zach on again. And just make sure to subscribe to see the podcast next week. We have a lot of interviews coming up with people from all over the industry. Have a great day, everybody. 1, 2. We just, somebody hit a power line or was messing around outside the building or something like that and took down our phone lines. So we're going to do a backup here on Starlink. So we'll see how it goes.
You guys are on Starlink now?
We have it as a backup. It has kind of some intermittency to it where we are because there's enough people around. So we keep it as backup, but we like to keep on the lines where we can. But our building's an old train factory, and our landlord's been reorganizing the whole complex. So they hit a line, I don't know, every other 2 days and shut off our water, or shut off our power, or shut off our internet, or whatever it happens to be. And I got
sounds like fun.
Oh, it's a joy. It's such a joy. So we're building in redundancies all over the place.
What do you guys do for power? Do you run printers on UPS, or are they straight plugged in?
We just have good power recovery and that kind of stuff. There are certain machines in certain sections of the farm that are on UPS, which is fine, but it's generally kind of overrated for the amount of value that it creates. So we don't harp on it super hard. Depending on rate of usage, that'll change. So it kind of depends on just overall usage of it all. But we generally just kind of shirk the juice around wherever it needs to be. And if the whole power goes out, well, it happens. It is kind of part of intermittency. When we rebuild a new factory, we'll put a generator on the outside or something. But that's how we deal with it. Are you doing UPSs and stuff in your firm?
I had them for a little while, but I think they were a big old waste of money.
Yeah, that's generally where it kind of comes from. Especially if the printers are reasonably decent at recovering. I think that's a little bit BS because the amount of recovery is always sort of bad. Because the machine will just coast for a second and then lose its spot. So, anyway, how's the software going?
It's good. I'm starting to butt up against my technical capabilities, but it has made a massive impact on my own print farm. I got a couple of customers that are starting to use it, and they're having really good success so far. And I'm slowly adding in more features and capabilities without trying to crash everything else that is working. But it's going really good so far. I'm kind of proud of myself for building it. I'm super happy with how it's turned out. I feel like really good about it. And now I'm just trying to spread it and share it with as many people as it will help.
So give everybody the background on this project again, because you've been running a big print farm for quite a while here. And you started building out software to get control of it. And what has come of that? And what are you trying to get done?
Yeah. So background is I'm running a print farm out of my basement right now. I've got 70 printers down there, and I'm trying really hard not to go into a warehouse because I just kind of like working from home, and I like how I have everything all together. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to make the printers that I have way more efficient rather than just getting way more printers. And so one of the ways that I'm trying to do that is to get more print hours out of the day. The easiest way to do that for me is to basically automate the print doors or manage them with a software. So go back to beginning of 2024, I hired a company called 3DQ that created a product which was basically a software and hardware package that was designed to do basically just that. They had done this for a couple of other printer models in the past, and they wanted to try and do it for the Prusa Mark IV. So I hired them to try and automate my print farm and help me put my print farm onto a software. After about a year's worth of attempts and trying to get it to work, they were just unable to get it to work. And now I'm kind of going through the court process to try and get my money back with them, and it's turned into a bit of a nightmare. And so that whole experience just wasn't very good. It wasn't a great experience, but I did realize that, hey, I'm going down the right path here. Like, if I can control this print farm, make it more efficient, and not have to just consistently buy more printers, that's definitely the right path to go down for my situation. And so with the recent advances in artificial intelligence and some of these tools that have come out in the last basically 1 to 2 years, now a guy like me with no technical background, no coding background, and no computer science background, I can use some of these tools and build a software from scratch and basically design it to do what I want. And so that's what I've done over the last sort of year now, is I've built my own software that connects with my Prusa printers. I can now run an inventory, basically report from Amazon that tells me what I need to print. I upload that data into my software, and then it can run my printers for basically the next 1 to 2 weeks. And so all we have to do now is take the parts off the printers, click one button on the software, it resets the entire farm and automatically distributes the next jobs. I can also program it to remove the part and then start the next print so that the whole farm is automated. And so I've kind of built that as a software that now controls and manages my print farm, and it has increased our productivity by almost 100% because it's allowed me to print through the night, it's allowed me to get the farm more efficient, and it's also allowed me to get data out of the farm. And so for me, it's been a game changer. And now it's available for anybody to download and try out on their print farm at printq.ca. And it works on Prusa and Bambu printers at the moment. So that's my long story there.
All right, with the Bambu machines, are you interfacing through their developer connection there, or how are you getting around just the protections? You're just using the developer plugin. Nice.
Yeah, you got to be in LAN mode and developer mode, and then everything runs locally.
Nice. Are you feeding them straight G-code, or are you using their proprietary, whatever they got going on, their 3MFs and all the rest of it?
Yeah, you basically go into the Bambu app, and then export the file. It comes out as a .gcode.3mf, and then you upload it into the PrintQ software. The other option that you have is, and I added this feature in, it's really cool. Let's say you download a massive file from one of the online platforms, and it's got like 50 different STLs in it. You can now download that, put it onto your computer, create a CSV file with all the different names, upload the CSV file into the software, and it will automatically pull all those files so that you don't have to upload 50 different ones.
Yeah.
So really, really nice if you have a big project with like 200 different prints. Now you can basically upload the entire section or the entire folder of prints, and it will create jobs for you in the software. So that's
nice. Kind
of depends on what you're doing there.
And you're downloading all of your orders from Amazon as a CSV and pulling them in there in order to run orders for the next week or so, or whatever the timeline is.
Yeah, so depending on where you're selling your products, if it's Shopify, Etsy, I sell on Amazon in Canada and the United States, and so basically we download an inventory report, we see what we're sold out of, what has the highest urgency, and how many we need to send in, and then we basically just create orders in the PrintQ software, and it automatically distributes those orders to any matching and available printers until that order is complete, and then my guys pick and pack and ship the products.
Nice. How are you tracking inventory from the machine into like the actual order and the barcoding and the order type? When it comes off the machine, what's like the confirmation that you have to make sure it's matching up with the order inside of Amazon so people don't grab a similar looking part to someplace else?
Yeah, so on all of couple of different things there. So first of all, we're doing batch production.
Okay.
And so we'll say we need to print 300 of this product, 500 of this product, 300 of this, and I have 70 printers. So most of the time, the printers will all be printing the same thing, or it'll be like half and half. And so figuring out which product is different is fairly easy. And then on every single print that we have, sometimes a product has two sides to it, so it's two prints. On every print that we have the product name and side 1 or side 2 or side 3. And so every single product that comes off is already identified with what it is. It's printed into the side of it. And then what happens is, let's say we're doing 300 units of side 1 and 300 units of side 2 that get packed together into a box. What will happen is somebody will create a big box and put it on a little caster system. They'll start on one side of the print farm, and they'll just pull off all the pieces, put them in the box, and then push that box along the print farm, fill up the box, and then it basically goes to a staging area where it waits to get packed. I'll send you some photos and maybe you can put them up on screen as I'm talking.
We can probably do that. Yeah.
But yeah, it's basically, okay, let's say all 70 printers just finished. You grab your box, you start on one side, you put all the parts in there. As soon as you get to a printer that has like a different part on it, you just go grab a different box, put it in there, and you keep going through the system.
Nice. Oh, that's pretty darn slick. That's a good way of doing it, of just large batches and that kind of stuff. Production software is super handy when you're doing the batch production.
Yeah. Now it's definitely designed for batch production because that's what I'm doing. If you're doing one-off orders and custom stuff, then this probably isn't the best application for you. So different things to consider.
One-off orders and custom stuff is just miserable in general anyway. We have to deal with that all the time in our stuff, which is people sending in whatever it happens to be. It's not preferable. I don't much care for it, you know?
Yeah, and then you work really hard on it, and you're so proud of it, and then the customer hates it. And
Yeah, exactly.
You just go, oh my god, I wasted 8 hours.
That's part of the gig. It's part of the gig. Because you work through the 100 people who get the one part, and they're like, it's not what I was expecting, or whatever it was, or the yellow's not the same color as my yellow, or whatever it happens to be. And then, but you got to do it all to get to the one guys who are just cranking along and ready to roll and that kind of stuff. So is what it is. It's part of the gig. It's been a fun we always knew it was a giant problem. But working with it here live as we've been building out portals and teleport has been a lot of fun because all the little tweaks, all the little 2%er improvements that you do from just changing the flow and kind of the order processing to keep on getting those gains to where that's more reliable has been a lot of fun here over like the 6 months of teleport and portals. But yeah, anyway, that's sick. You've got it out there.
To see it evolve.
You've really seen it evolve because you've been there since like day one. When did you get on a teleport? It was like last November or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think I've been on there for about a year now, and I probably watched it for a few months before I kind of put the pieces together. But yeah, I think I've been on there close to a year now because I think my first orders were in like November, December. So
that makes sense. Yeah, everybody always moves over during the Christmas season. It's like nobody can get ready ahead of time.
Yeah, exactly.
But no, yeah, I think you came on to teleport literally when we did like the first we were recoiling from the Etsy mess with us when they jacked up their API, and then we rebuilt it around like ShipStation and Shippo and that kind of stuff. Well, ShipStation originally. And then ShipStation screwed us, and then we did Shippo and so on and everything else. And then once we finally got out of there, we could actually improve our software.
I was right before ShipStation.
Yeah. Oh, jeez. Well, thanks for being patient with us.
It's been fun.
But yeah, the PrintQ software, so now it's up and available. What do people have to do to get it installed? Are you running it on a Raspberry Pi, or is it a local thing?
So everything runs locally. It's just a really simple software. You need a Windows computer, or if you want to run it on a Mac, you need to just download an app that lets you run Windows software. You can download the latest version from printq.ca, and it will automatically give you access to, I believe, 5 printers. So you can connect up to 5 printers to it. And then if you want to connect more printers than that, you just go to the website and buy basically a license, and it will give you a code to enter into the software. And it'll give you access to as many printers as you need. So
nice.
Super simple. If you want to try it out, it's totally free. Right now, it's working on the A1, the A1 Mini, the Prusa Mark IV, Mark IVS, the Mini, and the Core 1. I think it'll work on the Core L as well that just came out. And I'm adding printers as quickly as I can here. But right now, I'm just kind of focusing on what I'm using. So that's where we're at.
When you were building this, which one was easier to integrate with, the Bambus or the Prusas? I am curious.
So this is a funny story. So when I sat down and I'm like, okay, I want to try and build a software to run my print farm. What ended up happening was I didn't say let me build the whole thing. I said let me just build like the simplest user interface possible that lets me send one file to my Prusa printer and just start the file. That's where I started. And I said, let me just build that functionality. Mm-hmm. And I can't tell you how long that took me, Gabe, because I not only had to like learn how to figure that out, but I also had to learn how to figure out these tools that like build the thing in the background that write the code without me knowing how to write code. And so I think I sat here for probably 2 or 3 evenings just like coding to myself, not knowing if I was going in the right direction, and then trying to send a file to the printer and it just not starting. And then on like the third day, at the 11th hour, when I was about to give up, I finally just heard the click of like the heater turning on and the motors engaging.
Something
I looked at it and it had started the print, and I was like, oh my goodness, I finally got it. So I think like the first like file to get to the Prusa took a long time because I just didn't know what I was doing. And then I think Bambu actually just has a way harder system for me to integrate into. So
Okay.
it probably took just as long, probably like a 2 or 3 evening kind of thing to get Bambu to integrate. But I knew a lot more about what I was doing at that point. So I think Prusa was probably easier. I just didn't know what I was doing. Bambu was harder. I just had a little bit more basic knowledge of how to use the tools.
Oh, that's fair. You've got a lot more resilience than most vibe coders. Most people are like, ChatGPT didn't get it out on the third try. I'm done. I'm moving on to the next thing.
Oh, it was, but here's the wild thing too, is like I was doing this not at like the start of ChatGPT, but at the start of all the other platforms coming on. So like when DeepSeek hit the scene and kind of upended everything, I like moved all my stuff from ChatGPT to DeepSeek, and then Grok got really good, so I tried out Grok, and now for the last 6 months I've been using Claude, but
Yes.
right now Gemini is writing code at like 10 times the speed of Claude. And it's just as good.
Yeah.
So I'm like kind of bouncing between all of them right now.
It is so interesting because it's still so specific to the project that you have, which one of them is best at it. It's so funny.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And it's changing. It's drastically changing. Like there was a month where DeepSeek blew everything out of the water.
Yeah.
For 4 or 5 months, Claude was by far the best. And now it's like Claude is slow as a snail compared to Gemini. So yeah, I'm kind of bouncing around, trying to figure out which one is going to make my life the easiest for somebody that has no idea what they're doing.
In all fairness, nobody uses Gemini. So, of course, they've got a lot of extra servers.
That's probably what it is. Well, I'm taking advantage of it.
That's totally fair. Yeah, it's so funny because like in our building or whatever else it was, all the developers are always on Claude and they swear by Claude, and I get it. And Claude was fine, and it's certainly built that way. But yes, they've started to get busy. And then everybody in marketing uses ChatGPT. And then I bounce around because I like trying the things, but I generally go to ChatGPT just because they've got me locked in kind of ecosystem or just habit at this point to where I'm just like, it's close enough. And I know it's going to change next month, or whoever's going to be ahead is ahead. So I'm just like, I can wait a month. I'm not in that big of a hurry to find out if this is slightly better over there. But it's
Tell one of your code guys to try everything on Gemini for like an hour and see what he thinks.
He won't. They won't. They never will. They'll be like, nah, it doesn't integrate with Copilot or whatever else their flow is. Because the one thing those guys hate more than anything else is changing out their user flow. It's so funny. For the second there when like ChatGPT, they did the 5 release or whatever it was, and it was a lot better at coding. It got suddenly a lot better at coding. And I was just like, guys, this is better than Claude for most of the stuff we're doing. And they're like, don't care. And I'm like, this is fair. We're still cranking out tons of stuff, but like, is what it is.
I could see that.
It is cool though that that it was such an enabler for you to where you were able to knock that out and build. It's almost kind of everybody kind of uses the example of like, hey, build me a TikTok clone or whatever else it was, but you were able to build a competitive software to a software that wasn't working for you, not overnight, but over a period of time, pretty readily, because of these tools, and that's like that's probably one of the clearest examples I've seen of somebody very clearly doing it. Because a lot of us build like internal tools, but like building a full replacement to replace some other sort of product. I don't run into that often.
Oh, and it's absolutely insane because now it's like I have no hardware requirements. I don't depend on a third party. For instance, I'm starting to send this out to other users and they have a technical issue. So last night I added a button in there where they can click it once, and now it exports the last 5 minutes of the print log so I can diagnose the problems.
Nice.
So like now with me doing it myself, I just have so much more control. And then when I look at my print farm, The like clearest measure for me of output right now is filament usage, and the filament usage has more than doubled. And so it's
Nice.
it's like I can really like kind of measure and track the results. And so it's like I've already got the ROI for my operation, and now hopefully sharing it with the world as well.
Yeah, absolutely. No, yeah, because like print farm management software has always been terrible. So someone who actually operates the print farm, building it, is way more useful because that's always been the disconnect. It's been some developer who effectively built the stuff and said like, this is what a print farm probably needs, and I'm like, you have no idea what a print farm actually needs. So just getting it closer is way more useful to a lot of folks.
And that's exactly what the problem. You nailed it. In all of these different scenarios, it's a couple of guys sitting in an office that think they're really smart and they know what the problem is.
Yeah.
And then you get onto site here and you go, what the hell is going on? This isn't what I thought I was getting into.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what it is.
Yeah. The amount of guff that shows up inside of the things, all these extraneous features that aren't really useful because people are just standing around thinking of what to add to the stuff. And you're just like, I don't need any of that. I just need it to be faster and more accurate. That's all I need. And more reliable. Those are the only things that matter.
I just need it to work consistently
Yes.
over a long period of time. Like that's just level one. Everything else is gravy on top of that.
Exactly. Just maintain connection for a while, not lose the USB or the LAN or whatever it happens to be, whatever the connection is. Just stay connected. That'll be a big win. Goodness. Well, that's awesome, man. How's the core business going? Because obviously, yeah, the software is a side gig. Your main thing is you're rolling.
Yeah, the software is sort of the software was just like I built this for the core business. The core business is I run the 3D print farm. We sell products primarily on Amazon in Canada and the United States. And then I take the same product designs, all of the things that we develop, and I sell them on Shopify and Etsy, and I connect them to your Teleport and Portals programs. So business overall is going fantastic. I'm in like the last week right now of my Christmas production push. Takes me 2 or 3 weeks to get product into Amazon, and so this is literally my last kind of big week of production right now for the Amazon store. So we're pushing pretty hard for that right now, but it's been a record year. Numbers are up from last year. New products are on the way. We've kind of we finally got to the point where we have enough data about the products that we're selling and about what has worked well and what hasn't, that we now have like a bit of a system as to what's the next product we're going to launch and how we're going to launch it and how we're going to market it. We've kind of got to the point where I've built a system around that, so I'm super happy with that. And now it's just about getting through this Christmas rush, going through a little bit of development, going into Christmas because our production will slow down a bit, and trying to hit next year kind of full speed ahead. So that's what the game plan looks like for me right now.
Now you're working in kind of tools and those types of things. So how seasonal is that? Because obviously people are going to buy gifts for people, but do you see as big a spike as in consumer areas, or is it just like a 2x from normal season to like Christmas, or is it more or less or something?
Yeah, so our products are power tool accessories and organizers. I would say that it's not like a massive spike at Christmas, but what will happen is some of our products will get bought as Christmas presents. So we'll see an increase going into Christmas. And then because we make a lot of accessories, what will happen is somebody will get that gift, the primary product, as the gift at Christmas, and then they need an organizer for it and a liner for it and something else. And so we sort of see kind of a gradual ramp up to Christmas and sort of a gradual ramp down afterwards, which is really nice from a business standpoint. It kind of makes my life easier.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say that we get like a massive quick rush, but what happens with Amazon is when they get close to Christmas season, last year it was around December 10th or December 15th, they will cut off incoming shipments and only focus on outgoing shipments for Christmas. And so we need to make sure that I get enough inventory into Amazon to cover all of my Christmas sales, plus like a month after Christmas, because I'm not going to be able to get inventory back in until like January 15th to January 30th. So that's what the time frame sort of looks like from my perspective on production.
That's they follow the exact same line that we have, because I always tell everybody, like, okay, October you see a little bit of an uptick of stuff, and then between October 31st and November 1st you see like a 2x, and then it ramps out through November, and then you have Black Friday, which is 5 or 10x, whatever the days were, and then it gradually falls off until about December 15th, because people are like, it's not going to arrive in time, and then runs all the way through to January 10th, and then we're like, Christmas is over about January 10th. Because people spend their Christmas money over the next 2 weeks after they get it. So it's I knew Amazon shut down incoming. I had forgotten that it was still that close to Christmas. I thought they had done it at like the beginning of December or like right after Black Friday. So they're getting better.
Yeah, honestly, I think it was like the 15th or something, but it's like they won't receive the package on the 15th. So for me, it takes a week to get there. So my shipping actually ends first week of December. Yeah. And honestly, this year I'd be surprised if it wasn't earlier. Yeah. It all sort of depends. But
do you think it's going to be a big Christmas, or is everybody going to hold on to money and not accumulate more credit card debt? What's the future? What do you think the economy's doing?
Like, I don't know. Here's what I've seen is that the wealthy are not tight on cash by any means, but the, let's call it, middle class and lower class are very tight.
Yeah.
And so I don't think spending has slowed down a whole lot at the top, but I think spending is starting to slow down more and more at the bottom. And so I don't know if it'll be quite as big as last year, but I don't think it's going to be like a drastic fall off or anything along those lines.
I don't think it's going to be a drastic fall off. Last year, when we saw it on e-commerce and like Etsy and that kind of stuff through the users there was about a 15% decrease. But part of that was because there was a full week of election, or 10 days of election, at least in the States, at the beginning of last year. So I didn't know how much of that was economic versus just bad timing, because nobody advertises during the election week. But so this year is going to be fascinating for us, just to see how everybody's interacting, because I don't know either. Within it, I'm like, people are still spending money, a decent amount, and maybe there's maybe a bit of a softening, but Christmas is always Christmas, and people don't seem to ever have a budget during Christmas. I'm not going to say that's good, I don't think it is, but that seems to be how people behave.
Yeah, so far my numbers are up, it's super early, but my numbers are up, even on the same products that I had last year. Mm-hmm. So it's tough to say. I think there's going to be certain areas of the economy and certain areas of the market that are hurting more than others.
Yeah. Yep. We got to get in the AI. Got to find an AI thingamajig. You've got it already. Gotta get on that gravy train.
Yeah, who knows? We could be in a bubble with that one. I think Palantir's down 10% today. Who knows?
Oh, really? I thought I knew they had done earnings and everybody was going to having a reaction, but I didn't know what the actual thing was. I just saw like headlines going by. Palantir, I was like, whatever. They've been trading too high for a while.
They certainly have. They have a 668 price to earnings ratio right now.
They make $4 billion. They're $4 billion a year, and they're what, $200 billion valuation or something.
Gabe, I think we'd both be billionaires with that valuation.
I know, right? Exactly.
That's insane.
It'd be so handy. This show is not financial advice. It is meant for entertainment purposes only. But yeah, Palantir is ridiculous.
Crazy, man. So what are you guys doing with AI at Slant? I saw you launch something on LinkedIn that I played with a little bit like a couple months ago.
Probably broke.
Where does AI fit into Slant 3D right now?
Oh, it's all internal stuff. We haven't figured out how to productize some feature of it. We did a beta of model generation, just a demo. Literally, the guys threw it together in like 3 days, and it crashed immediately as soon as I shared that post. But the model generation is stupidly useful, because the thing I always tell the guys is like, okay, here in 2 years, 18 months at this point, you're going to see websites where you search for the item that you want, and then 10 items will pop up. You'll select the one that you want, you buy it, and then the item is created. So it would be fully virtual product listings, and then it would create a 3D model of the item and send it to a print farm like us. And we just say magic.com. That's what's going to happen. That will happen in a few niche areas for like nightlights or cookie cutters or something like that. People will build these uber custom stores where they have basically infinite selection. The problem with that is people have to figure out how to present infinite selection without overwhelming customers, which is really tough and why you have to have these really specific niches. So like cookie cutters, nightlights, whatever it happens to be. But that'll be the first kind of wave, and then as it keeps on getting better at making manufacturable parts, it'll get broader and broader. Because when I like talk to our investors, I'm like, okay, well, this is going to happen. Amazon has whatever 20 million products on a store, and I'm like, that's adorable. We're going to have anything, and we get to store it in a football-sized factory rather than a multiple football factory-sized warehouses all over the place. So I think that's where that'll effectively end up affecting our industry, and that's why we work really hard on like software and the API and all the rest of that kind of thing. Internally for ourselves, obviously we use it all over the place. I know that like 70% of our code is AI generated too. It's just guided by developers, so it can get to the point a little bit faster once in a while. But most of it is, the summary I always give to people is like, yeah, AI will do most of the work, but it needs a conductor. It's an exceptional orchestra, but it still needs the conductor. So the person's job is to have taste and insight as to where to direct it and when it's doing a good job and when it's just throwing out schlock, so that it actually does good work that is above the average, because otherwise it's just average human schlock that is thrown out. So it's an incredible internal tool. We haven't productized it in any substantial way yet. But we use it for processes, documentation, tracking, analysis, all that kind of stuff all the way through. But we haven't turned loose our AI product yet. We made that model generator so that we could get the feel for it, because it was fun to build Conjure, because it was like, we build this app and it gets better without us having to do anything, because we're just a ChatGPT wrapper effectively, or whatever we're using as the base model. I was like, when they get better, our product gets better. That's kind of cool, to not have to work and the whole thing gets better. So we did it to just kind of keep our thumb on the pulse, and we may have some updates for that this spring, or this winter, but I don't know. The belief was that we were going to freeze, teleport, and portals during Christmas, and the developers could go work on side projects, but we're not really doing that. So those things are just moving. So there's not time for side projects, but that's my spiel on AI and kind of what we're doing with it all.
Makes sense. I think it's all about finding the right application for it and using it and learning as much as you can, and then taking that and trying to find the next one and slowly growing from there. If you're trying to tackle the big thing right away, you're probably going to uphill battle.
Oh, it's a stupid problem with our company. It's just the fact that we're kind of a generic 3D printing service. Who the heck do we go talk to? The only way we can function is if we go one category at a time through stuff. And the things that hurt us are always when people think we're a generic print service and they upload an SLA part and want it to be printed, and they're like, this isn't what I thought it was going to be. And I was just like, well, it's got to get that narrowed down next time around.
Yeah, I've got that problem too.
Is it with the print farm control software, or with like your products, your actual products?
No, more so like just customers. Like using Teleport the other day, customers like, hey, I didn't receive my part. So I'm like, are you sure? Like, says it's delivered, everything. Yeah, didn't receive it. So we sent him out a second one, receives the second one, and then sends us a message and says, hey, I ended up getting both pieces, but I'd like to return them both because I didn't realize this is what the product is, because he didn't read the description.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, we've had. It's so funny. We sold like jewelry accessories one time, and people would return it because we thought it was cast metal, and we said plastic 3D printed part, and there it is. But yeah, you build it into the shrink and you move on with life, which is just kind of miserable, but it is the way the world is. You can't ever communicate it enough, and there'll always be somebody who ignores all of it.
Yeah, that's what I'm learning here.
Yeah.
So Is that your recommendation for guys that are using teleport, using portals?
No.
There's always going to be that 5% of people that ordered it, got it wrong, or abused the return system.
Yeah.
Do you advise them to eat it, take the pain, suffer through it, or do you tell them to take the other route and be a little bit more hardball with customers?
Oh, I say never be hardball with customers, even ones who are idiots. Because the idiots are the ones who are also the loudest. This is so terrible. We shouldn't be talking like this on the podcast or whatever else it was. These idiots, whatever. It's very difficult to work with customers. But yes, there are 5% of customers who just cannot be helped and will never be happy. So you deal with it, but you literally, they're the 5% that you will spend 90% of your time on, but they're also going to be the noisiest because if they have it. Here's a story. When we got a software team, we're building out software and stuff. Software developers are kind of expensive. We were talking to this third-party service that we were working for shipping software. And we were like, okay, we're going to start demoing this or whatever else it was. And they're like, okay, when you run test orders through, they're going to contact us if you need to get a refund on it or something like that. I'm like, why would I do that? It's a $10 test order. Emailing you costs more than $10. And you suck up all of our time and stuff. And then we have to talk back and forth and negotiate whether this $10 is okay to get back or not. Don't bother us. We've budgeted a little bit of money over here and we'll just burn it, finding out if it's working. And if it doesn't work, we'll try it a different way and spend another $10 just to have speed of action. Most people don't operate that way because a lot of people don't have a prioritization of time. And when somebody values that $10 transaction so highly that they will spend 2 hours trying to get that $10 back by emailing you, arguing with you, wanting to get a refund rather than just moving on with life or sending it back or just saying okay, they also have enough time to just go online to every single platform and whine about you. So just from a pragmatic standpoint, the worst customers are the ones you have to indulge the most because they will also do the most damage. Because they'll just go on Reddit or Twitter or Facebook or wherever else it was, or go to Google reviews for a facility that you don't exist at anymore. And I'm starting to get a little bit specific here because it's bringing up all kinds of stories in my head. But they'll just search you out. And it can be something as trivial as like not responding to an email, even though they're on an old email address, or getting a bad part. So I say you do as much as you possibly can for everybody. Because I come back to like a Warren Buffett quote, is like nobody remembers how much it cost, they remember how they felt when they bought it or didn't buy it. And that sticks way more for humans than anything else. So you try to maximize the highs, the really exceptional moments, and try to minimize the really miserable moments, because even if it's a trivial sort of a thing, it can be really important for that person. So it's important that the company takes it seriously and just kind of budgets the time for it all. So like when we operate with it, you use teleport. If you can go, that guy who got the 2 orders or whatever else it was, you can refund both of those orders from us. And we'll ask you why it happened, but we also won't argue with you about it. So you're allowed to do that, make your own call on it. But we think it's just easier to do like instant refund and no questions asked on those types of cases. Plus, with that, since we're not emailing back and forth and negotiating a $10 transaction, we might be coming out ahead than all the customer support. The customer gets a way better experience. We didn't have to spend an hour negotiating the refund. I didn't have to train anybody about how to decide if a refund is okay. And it creates really pure feedback data from customers of like, hey, we had a bunch of people ask for refunds today. What happened 3 days ago when parts were running? Because apparently somebody in quality is not checking stuff. The shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. Give people a refund if they want the refund. And then it also forces the company to take full responsibility for the situation. Because if the customer's an idiot, you can't change idiots. But if it's your refund and the customer had a bad experience, you're like, okay, we're not communicating to idiots well enough. So we're being too hoity-toity in our communication and our marketing. So how do we restructure how we present this so that it's not a problem anymore? So that's my little rant on that. Is like, yeah, the customer's not always right. The customers are wrong all the time, but the organization has to figure out a way to be as helpful as possible all the time. And that's tough, especially when you're small business, because when you're a small business and you're trying to make payroll or a couple guys in a room or whatever else it was, and somebody wants a refund, now you're like, it's really expensive and it's tough to do, and it really eats at you. But it's a question of like, do you want to be in business for 2 years or 10 years? Because that customer will still remember it, and they might not come back around, but they have other people they talk to. And that's just the thing that you don't see, and you just hope the Lord smiles upon you and it all works out for you, so you just try to do as good a job as you can. But,
That was great. I thought that was good.
thanks. How do you deal with refunds and returns? What's your policy on it all?
In the beginning, I was definitely like super, super lenient. I took the policy of give the people what they want, try and make everybody happy. And then I sort of did what you sort of said, is take a look at yourself and figure out why this is happening and do as much as you can to sort of fix it and address the problem. And it probably cut the problem in half or by 2/3, but you still get, as you bring in more orders, it feels like the problem's almost the same size. And you still get these customers that either just don't read the description, don't read the product, or just don't understand something. And so the really silly ones, I've started to be like, hey man, I'm really sorry, but I can't offer a refund on this one if you just not going to read the description in any way. Or check your mailbox, for instance.
And this is totally fair for you too, because you're the one handling it, so you just have limited bandwidth. And the company's also grown to where, like, as proportion of volume, it just gives you a 1-star review. You're doing fine on Etsy and Amazon and all the rest of it, that kind of stuff. So it's not as big of a hit once you're kind of established and rolling, to where it can be an efficiency play. How do you deal with like the Amazon return policy? Because it still has to be happening over there, or are the returns less over there?
So I can see my percentage on every single product. It varies a little bit by product. I think I'm like 5 or 6% return, which in my mind seems pretty good for Amazon.
Yeah.
With regards to Amazon returns, though, I don't touch anything. I don't see any, like, I can see the report, but like I'm not interacting with the customers or managing the return or deciding if it's returned or anything like that. And so on Amazon, the only customer service I have is if a customer messages me with a question about a product or something like that, I reply to them there. But that is basically as far as customer service goes on the Amazon side of things, which is actually like really, really nice. Amazon takes care of almost all of it.
Are they restocking the returns, or do they just disappear into the ether?
I want to say it depends a little bit on the product. It depends a little bit on the return reason. Like, was it just was unopened and it didn't get returned, or did it not work? With most of my products, they are basically getting disposed of after return. So I'm basically eating the hit. On most of the returns. For me, though, it's a little bit different, though, because it doesn't make sense for me to send a return over the Canadian border back into Canada, pay customs, do all that, just to send it back into the U.S. Like, I'm better off disposing of it. If you lived in the U.S., though, selling on Amazon USA, it might be worth it depending on volume and shipping cost.
That's fair. Oh, the return. Oh, gotcha. Oh, that makes total sense. Yeah, for sure.
Like, you can get the returns shipped back to you, for instance.
Yeah. This is the thing that, like, a lot of people don't realize, because a lot of new business operators are like, I got to get 100% of things sent out there successfully or whatever else it was. And it's like, no, you just build, it's called shrink in retail. Somebody's going to steal, break, move, return, whatever it happens to be. And I think like Walmart and I think Amazon might be at like a 10% return, but that's because everybody buys shirts that don't fit.
Yeah. Amazon probably has the. I mean, it's getting better, but they have some of the worst returns in e-commerce. There was a guy that kept buying the anvil. There was a dude that kept buying an anvil and returning it, and he was going viral on social media to put his Amazon driver through hell. It was so funny. But yeah, Amazon return policies get abused. And then the other thing is, like, if you sell somebody something in a box and then they return that box, you don't know if the product is back in that box.
Yeah.
So you kind of take a risk if you send it out to another customer.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't think anybody's cracked the return problem yet.
Not at all. I noticed Amazon getting like more stringent in like the last year and a half or so, and I was like, okay, they're changing my return survey when I try to send this back, and I got more friction than it used to have. Well, I'm tired of returning this stuff now. it's yeah, I don't doubt it, especially after COVID, where it was really, really abused, and just really expensive. But anyhow, yeah, all of e-commerce, the amount of waste that you need to learn to tolerate, which is stupidly frustrating when you're operating a company, because you're just like, oh my gosh, all this stuff's going out the door. But you're like, you got to just bake it in. And it's frustrating, and it is wasteful in all kinds of ways, but it's just kind of part of the human condition. Unless you want to have a zero returns policy and figure out how to get people to buy stuff on the regular like that.
Yeah, that one's tricky. So to that point, I guess, I'm starting to experiment with digital files a little bit, selling some of the digital files for my products. So we're starting to sell the files personally for $15 per file. Somebody can download it and make it themselves instead of buying it for $60 from our website. Or if you want to sell the product yourself, I'm doing a commercial license for some of the products now as well. So I'm starting to get into that game as well.
Interesting. It's a good idea, especially for your category of products. Most of the guys who would want your product also have a 3D printer, so it makes sense. Whenever I talk to people about selling files, I'm like, what is your category? Because if you're selling files, you're only selling into a marketplace of like 1 million people, and then you have your sub-niche inside that 1 million people who buy files, as opposed to selling to humanity, which has there's a lot more people without printers than with. But the files are should be low maintenance. You've optimized yours really well, so most people shouldn't whine to you about files and print settings and all the rest of it. So that makes sense. I wonder... No, it makes sense. And there's something you can run ads against. Once it's tough to get the resells, so you can get yourself on a treadmill of making new files all the time, which is still the thing you got to do in products too. But even so, in files, the half-life is way shorter. But yeah,
the half-life's way shorter. No inventory, no logistics,
100%
100% profit margins. And so I'm thinking about it, and because what goes through my head here is I make power tool accessories. These are guys that run shops, or they're good with their tools, or they're in the trade somewhere. This guy is either going to buy it or he's going to make it himself. He's going to do one of those two options either way, and now I have the ability to sell to him on either side. Which is sort of the thought process there. And then the other side of it that I'm seeing is, especially in my niche and in my category, I'm seeing a lot more competition coming into it. And so I would much rather be the guy, instead of trying to compete on price with that competition, I'd rather be selling the shovels to the other gold miners and working on developing more designs. I think I'm starting to move in that direction a little bit more. I'll keep selling all the best sellers on Amazon, keep all of the designs on my e-commerce platforms. But I've got a couple of people that have Amazon stores in other parts of the world. So I want to open it up to them as well and see what we can do there. So if anybody's interested in trying to get into that, reach out. Let me know.
It's a pretty good business. I can back Zach up on this or whatever else it was. You could probably move a decent number of these things. That's fair. Yeah, the file business is really interesting. How much time do you have, Zach? I don't want to keep you overtime.
I've got time. I don't have a meeting for another half hour.
Okay, fair enough then. No, yeah, files is a good spot to be, especially in tools. There are not enough designers designing functional prints. They're not common enough, and I'm so surprised by that, because functional prints should win out in so many different areas, but they just don't. And I think it's just because tools are expensive to have around and to interact with. But yeah, there should be so many more functional prints out there.
I think there's a gap in the market, so I'm going after it right now. Because there's a lot of fidget things, there's a lot of dragons out there, and there's a lot of gimmicky products that are really cool for 10 minutes. So I'm trying to fill the function void a little bit.
That's fair. Are you using like a standard like repo way of selling these, or are you selling them through the website and just having people download a file?
I'm experimenting with that a little bit right now. They're currently on the Shopify website. They're being listed on Etsy right now. And then I think I'm going to do individual files and a commercial license through Thangs. What are your thoughts on that?
Commercial license through Thangs sounds right. Thangs is a little bit weird. I gotta be careful because we work with the Shapeways team and that kind of stuff there. So there's a limit to how many opinions I'm allowed to have, good or bad, on the whole thing. I think Thangs is probably the best monetized platform out there for sure. Because everybody else is kind of doing the catch-up thing, whereas Thangs sort of built themselves that way early on. All of it is still moderation, because you are still responsible for going out there and tracking down if somebody's selling your files without rights. And selling files in general right now is just such a giant cluster that it's just sort of, I don't know what anybody does. You can watermark the files and try to find them, but again, people can just sell them on an Etsy store in Zimbabwe or something like that, and you would never know. So I don't know what you do to make sure that your files aren't in the wind. Somebody should find some software. I don't know what you do. I don't know what you do. You can't have the STL disappear after 10 days. People got to slice it and turn it into it, and then it's a G code, so it doesn't matter anymore. So I have no idea how you moderate 3D files unless you have just a giant bunch of lawyers and a whole bunch of AI that doesn't exist right now, because it's not even solved for music or creative. And printing has created an even bigger weirdness because we overlap between copyright and patent law. So it's all kinds of messed up. But yeah, I don't know. What are you going to do about files, making sure they don't disappear?
I'm going to make sure that I have better marketing and advertising than everybody else and take it as a hit. To be honest, I don't think there's a solution to it. I think the best thing you can do is just be the number one name in your niche or your category, so that you're going to lose the 10% of guys that are scrounging for pennies and yes, trying to shortcut and short circuit you and get around your $10 or $15 fee. Yeah. But I think 90% of people will pay it and manage it honorably. So, and if there's one thing I can learn, Gabe, I'll tell you right now, the court process isn't worth it for anything under $100,000. Like, it's a nightmare. It's slow as hell, and you're way better off trying to handle something yourself.
Yes. Oh, very often, all the time, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but no, that's the right thing about it all too. Like, people don't recognize the amount of execution around the actual item, to where they get, again, hung up on the $10 for the file or the monthly subscription or something like that. And I'm like, if you can't pay for the monthly subscription, then you shouldn't even be buying the file to start with, because your business isn't going to function at all. If you go drive Uber, it's a way better business. That kind of thing. But
yeah, and it's one of those things where it's like, if somebody wanted to rip off my file, they can take the easy route and they can spend $10 or $15 on it, or they can go find something that's probably similar and close enough if they really had to, or they could design it themselves, or they could go pay somebody else to do it themselves. You're never going to stop somebody from copying your design or slightly changing your design. Yeah. You're way better off putting your effort into creating the next one, or trying to create a better sales process to sell that design. So yes, that's sort of my thought on it, and that's what I'm playing with in my head right now.
It is. A lot of people get caught up with believing that everyone around them is dishonest, and that's a wildly dysfunctional sort of a thought. The vast majority of humans are pretty darn good and trying to do a good job and aren't seeking to screw you or anything else, but people get caught in this head. I think it's very centralized to the 3D printing community, to where, like, there's just the belief that everyone in the world is out to get you, and they're not. Most people don't care, quite frankly, and the rest of them are too busy or got their own thing going on. So it's like, yeah, just do your thing. It'll be fine. There will be some people who steal it. And yes, printing has a high level of piracy inside of it, just because it's part of the history of it all. Life is hard. The vast majority of people don't care.
Yeah. It's part of the game. And here's the thing is, you're competing in the same playing field as everybody else. Yeah. So That's the ultimate equalizer there.
Exactly. Yeah, everybody's got the same starting point. So yeah, if he can go buy more Facebook ads than you can or something like that, well then he found a way to win, and you weren't using your thing well enough anyhow. But like, yeah, the action, yeah, there's so many other levers to pull other than the individual product or file or things like that. So it's just like go work on those things, and that's helps people way more, makes you way happier in life too, because you're not obsessing about the number of people coming after you or something, and you're just like whatever.
Yeah, there's nothing more draining than trying to go after people or trying to defend yourself. You're just so much better off focusing on what's next.
Exactly. So. Well, all right, man. I'm gonna pause it right there.